Oz Du Soleil here with Excel TV and a new segment we call the juice function. We're going to give you just the juice and not everything else. And I'm here with Jan Karel Pieterse, and we're going to talk about the Excel MVP Summit in Amsterdam. We're going to talk about formula auditing. And Jan Karel, how you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing, Oz?
I'm okay.
Great to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been a while. We talked a little bit in December, November at the MVP Summit.
Yeah, I think it was in a bar, right?
Well,
to begin with, that was the first. That's where I met you.
yeah, we met in a bar. Oh my gosh. Oh man,
yeah.
I feel dirty all of a sudden. No. No.
Oh, whatever. No.
Yeah, it was up at the MVP Summit, and yeah, people get together at the Rock Bottom Brewery in Bellevue after the session.
That's where it was.
Yep.
Precisely. Yep.
But I remember talking with you at the bus stop. You were getting ready to go to the shuttle because I was a guest, so I couldn't go to the sessions. And I remember talking with you at the bus stop as you were getting ready to get on the shuttle.
Yep.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
So remember this guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So remember, you pretty tall.
I'm well, it's 1.85 meters. That's 6 foot and something in US.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But it was good to meet you because I noticed that I've got some of your web pages bookmarked, and they've been bookmarked for years. So you've been doing a lot of stuff with Excel. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, okay. So by education, I'm a chemical engineer. And as a chemical engineer, you get to do fun stuff like processing your experimental data and all, you know. So for that, of course, you'd use stuff like spreadsheets. And back in the day, we're talking about 1986. We were using Lotus 1.2.3 version 2 dot whatever on a black and green screen, you know. Remember those maybe? Or maybe you're not old enough. I don't know.
Well, I'm old enough, but I was in the Navy from 85 to 91. So if you ask me about driving a submarine, I can talk about that. But
well, you know, actually working with Excel felt a bit like driving a submarine back then, watching a tiny screen and knowing that there's tens of thousands of cells you can't see because the screen's too small.
Wow. Yeah.
They changed that. Now you have a big screen and there's still millions of cells you can't see. So there's not much of a difference.
Right.
So I was a chemical engineer. I was saying I did that until 2001 or something, and then I changed jobs. And 2 years later, I kind of thought, well, I'm quite good at this Excel contraption. Let me see if I can make a business out of working on that full time instead of fooling around doing things I don't really like, just work in Excel all day. And I've been doing that ever since.
Wow. So, what was that like getting started?
Oh, well, I was sort of pushed into the deep end because I was doing a job back then at a company that produced machines for the CD and DVD production. And we all know what happened to those producers. I mean, who buys a CD, right? No one. So in 2003, they kicked me out because they didn't have any projects for us guys anymore. So it was sort of a coincidence that I actually wanted to start doing my own business and got kicked out. So that sort of coincided really nicely.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But still, it takes time to get your client base up and all. So it took me about 2 years to actually start to earn some money from it.
Okay.
But I haven't been sitting still since then. I mean, I'm 100 and 150% booked, for
Wow.
example, in the past year or something. So I could work for 60 hours if I feel inclined to, but I don't, of course. But well,
Right. And what kind of clients and projects keep you busy?
it's widely a wide variety of all sorts of different stuff. I mean, I'll never forget my very first client, which was a small plumbing company somewhere in Arizona.
Oh,
So that was big fun. And but at the moment, I'm working for a large oil company in The Hague. So it's between those two scales and in anything in between.
wow.
Yep.
Okay. So, an oil company. So, do
Yeah.
you ever ask them why Excel? Why not any other thing? And I think about, I asked one client about why Excel, and he said there is something for his industry, and it costs $100,000, and he'd have to pay somebody $100,000 to run it, and he doesn't need everything that's in this software.
Yep.
He
Yeah.
needed something to grade these questionnaires. That's all he needed. And so,
Right. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, so why do your clients use Excel when they seem like they might have the money to do something else and have a whole IT team to build something custom?
Well, the fun thing is the particular project I'm doing right now. There's a huge team working on that, from SAP guys and those guys that earn about 5 times as much as I do. Whereas the Excel workbooks that are in the middle are actually more or less the center of the universe for that application. So they're doing all the hard work.
Oh,
Um, it's because Excel is flexible.
uh-huh.
It's because with Excel you can build a small application in just a bit of time compared to those huge contraptions of SAP and stuff like that, who might take a dozens of engineers to do weeks and weeks of work.
Right.
So yeah, but your mileage may vary. I mean, sometimes it's just better to build a proper application in SAP and leave Excel out of the picture. And
Right.
it depends on what you want to do.
Exactly. Depends on
Yep.
what you want to do. And then whatever constraints you have around money, time, people.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we met at the MVP summit. And how long have you been an MVP?
I was nominated back in 2002, so this is my 13th year,
Wow.
14th. I don't know. I lost count.
Wow. And what does it mean to you to be an MVP?
Well, at least when I got the first award, it meant recognition, and it actually convinced me that I actually know what I'm doing if I'm working with Excel. And it's like a huge wow when you get that. You got the email last January, so you know how it feels.
Well, hey, I want to hear your experience.
Yeah, well, it was great. I mean, back then there were only about 400 MVPs or something, and you could only get to become MVP if you would post answers to questions online. And when I started answering questions, Microsoft didn't have what they called news groups back then. They had just been um, opened up.
Mhm.
Before that, they used a forum on CompuServe, and that's where it all started. So you'll see that the really long-time MVPs like Bill Manville and Bob Omnis, they all started out at that CompuServe forum, and I started there too.
Wow. Okay.
And I remember that I got an email from Bill Manville, saying, "Hey, JK, we're considering nominating you as an Excel MVP." And I was like, "Wow, these gods of Excel are going to nominate me. I'm just a humble little guy from Holland, you know."
Uh-huh.
So that's what it felt like, sort of in a nutshell, if you like. Yep.
Wow. So and
So
so now after 13 years, what is it like for you when you are, re-awarded?
it's still great because, it still gives you the feeling that, okay, you're still part of this club and Microsoft still thinks you're doing great work for, advocating their software and helping people, especially that, helping people, use Excel to its full extent and,
Yeah.
try and educate people and all. So I think that's the most important thing to me. And then, of course, this MVP award is my huge billboard outside that says, "Hey, hire JK because he's great at Excel,"
Yeah.
right? So it just brings in business, so to speak. If you
Yeah.
have that on your resume, you'll be on top of the pile.
Yeah. Wow.
That's most important, I guess.
Yeah. And the helping people part is really what's exciting to me, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too. I mean, and of course, when you do the consulting stuff and actually work building stuff in Excel or in Access for people,
Hmm.
that has its rewards too. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll never forget a customer of mine. It was a small company, about 7 people, and I came in one day after I delivered my first version of their system, and one of the guys there said, "Hey, Jan Karel, you know what? Yesterday was my first day here that I actually enjoyed working because your new software is so great. I love to use it." So, that made my day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what, being a software consultant makes it be a nice job.
Yeah. And
Yep.
that's one thing that it was hard. I didn't get it myself when I started consulting, and then I had to explain it to clients eventually. Once I got it, was that we're really doing software development. When
Yes, we are.
somebody wants something custom, and they've tried a bunch of things, and all of them kind of had what they needed, so now they need something custom, and Excel can do it. Or there's something way too complicated out on the market, and then
Yep.
build something in Excel, and you go through the design and the layout, the interface, where the data gets stored, all the calculations. Yeah, that is custom development.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Well, if I teach an Excel class to beginner users, so to speak, the first thing I tell them is that they're not Excel users, they're programmers.
Good.
And they really need to get into that mindset of that working with Excel is actually programming to begin with. And that once you realize that, you can start looking at all this documentation that's out there that says how you do proper programming work.
Hmm.
Like, doing the design phase and, gathering requirements and all
Yeah.
those steps that a software development company already, well, should master and adhere to, would basically also apply to a tiny little project when you're actually creating your own budget sheet.
Hmm. Hmm. Man,
Because what many people don't seem to realize is if you're building an Excel model, 9 times out of 10, this model is going to be used by other people than just yourself.
yeah. Yep. Yep. And you got to think about the
So, yeah.
validation and everything and all the possible scenarios that people might try something and then it's got to respond a certain way.
Yep.
They try to do something, maybe make a start and end time the same. Okay, it can't just crap out or accept that data. It's got to do something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, so those are some experiences of my past, and but let's talk a bit about the future. What do you say?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
And the future in a few weeks includes the Amsterdam Excel Summit. So
Yep.
Well, but you wanted to talk a little bit about the past there too, about how the summit got started.
Yeah, let's do that first. Okay.
Okay.
So, back in 2013, so 2 years ago, Microsoft organized two MVP summits. So, one step back, to treat their MVPs, Microsoft have an Excel summit once a year. And all MVPs from around the world, they're invited, and they have all sort of sessions with the product team, and they have a party, and it's to feast us and also to organize interaction between us and our product groups that we're part of or belong to, whatever you call that. And so in 2013, there was an MVP summit somewhere in the spring or end of winter, and there wasn't too much interesting content. Microsoft didn't have anything to talk about. They just released Office 2013, and there wasn't much to talk about. So lots of MVPs complained.
Right. And so where was
And
that? Because I know that the one you mentioned where they have everybody come from around the world, that one is near the headquarters in Redmond.
yep, it
And
is.
so that second one was where?
The second one was in Redmond as well, in November or something, and they were extremely late in planning that event. So mostly, I think many of the European MVPs didn't attend because I need sort of a business reason to go there, so at least I need to have an inkling of what they're planning to talk about. So maybe 4 or 5 weeks prior to the event, they still didn't have a program. So I decided not to go, and lots of my colleagues also decided not to go. And then all of a sudden, I think it was Frederic from Malta, he's also an Excel MVP.
Yep, I met him.
Suggested, hey man, let's do this in Europe. Let's have a nice Excel MVP summit in Malta. Which sounded nice because it was November and cold, and Malta, as you know, is in the Mediterranean Sea, so it's nice and hot out there.
Malta.
And so then I grabbed that and said, well, hey, that's a great idea, but let's do it somewhere else. Let's do this in Amsterdam because we have an Excel MVP, Ron de Bruin, from rondebruin.nl. He is the guy that hosts all the interesting stuff about sending emails through Excel and Mac Excel. And he's never going to attend a summit in Redmond. So we wanted to trick him to at least visit one summit. So we figured let's organize our own summit. So that's what we did. And so it wasn't really an Excel summit. We called it an Excel meeting because, well, it wasn't as official as the Microsoft Microsoft Summit is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did. And then my colleague Tony de Jonker, who got awarded in the same month as you did.
Yes, this year.
Yeah, he listened to me talking about this Excel meeting, and he said, "Hey, Jan Karel, so are you saying 20 Excel MVPs from around the world are going to be in Amsterdam for 2 days?" I said, "Yeah, well, why?" Well, he said, "Why don't we organize a nice event for the general public where we have these Excel MVPs present stuff and learn them about stuff in Excel?"
Yes.
So I said, well, that's a great idea. So that's what we did last year. So we called that the Amsterdam Excel Summit, just because we loved the name. And so, yeah, we presented that last year. And we're going in for a repeat this year again. So we're having the Excel MVP meeting at Microsoft strictly for Excel MVPs. And 2 days before that, we'll have the Amsterdam Excel Summit.
Yeah.
Which is an event, and well, I can talk about the program if you like, or maybe.
Yes, because I'm curious about the general public and who from the general public might be interested and what would they see?
Well, last year we had people from, I think it was 14 countries. And I haven't counted it this year yet, but I think we're at least 15 or something like that. So there's people coming from all over the world. And it's people that love working with Excel that visit our event. I mean, it's typically people that work in Excel at least 4 or 5 hours a day.
Right.
So people from the finance department, but also people running their own business, doing consulting, maybe as a financial or financial with a bit of Excel on the side,
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what do we have this year? We have Ken Pulse from Canada,
Yep.
and he's going to do 2 sessions on Power Query. One really introductory one, and another one that's going to dive really deep into Power Query and discussing about the M language that's under the hood of Power Query.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Power Query, that is some powerful stuff. Powerful.
Yeah, it really is.
Last, yes, last night I did a presentation to some data scientists and coders and showed them unpivot, uh, split column, and how you can, once you have and append query. So,
Oh yeah.
yep, once you have everything set up and then you get new data, you just have to refresh. And man, Power Query is some strong stuff.
Yep, it certainly is.
Yeah.
And then Ken is also going to tell us a bit about how you integrate Power Query with a Power Pivot model. So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be interesting too. But we have completely different stuff as well. We have Roger Govier from Wales, another Excel MVP, of course. He's going to present stuff just about get pivot data, which is just a function in Excel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he'll show us some amazing stuff you can do with that. And he's also going to talk us through how you work with slicers and timelines.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
certain there's lots there that I don't even know about.
Yeah.
Yep. And then let's go to the other side of the world. We have Liam Bastick from Australia, and he's going to talk about how you avoid mistakes in your valuation modeling. He's going to present something about how you check your Excel spreadsheet for mistakes and errors.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Henk Floatman, who is, okay, I'm going to repeat myself. He's again going to talk about Power Pivot, but he's about how you make that model more professional. And I'm really interested in hearing what he has to say. But then to move away from all that power stuff, we also have Charles Williams, who's going to talk us through how you make your user-defined functions more efficient and faster.
Okay.
And if it's about fastness,
Yep.
speed, you have to be at Charles Williams' website, decisionmodels.com. You know him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then last but not least, we'll have 2 great sessions by our charting guru, Jan Peltier, who's going
Okay.
to tell us all about how you squeeze everything you can out of Excel to make that chart that you need. So it's going to be a great 2 days, I can tell you. And we still have seats available. So if people want to register, go ahead and hurry up, because this is going to be one of the best events you'll see in years.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like it. It really does. And that is April 13th and 14th.
Precisely. Oh, and
And
I forgot one important thing as well. We'll have people from Microsoft Israel presenting the keynotes there too.
okay. Okay.
So we have Jidal Egeries, who's going to talk about the future of Office, which might be an interesting session for people interested in what's coming after 2013 and what's next.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and he'll be around, you can grab his collar and ask him questions and stuff like that. So
And
it's going to be great fun. Yeah.
and I had an experience to sit with Excel developers in December, and
Yeah.
it was great, because they sincerely listened. We batted ideas back and forth. It was beautiful. Um,
Yep.
so with so the public, how much does it cost to come?
Well, yeah, I think for most people, the travel cost is probably going to be
Oh,
the biggest chunk.
right. Okay.
So for the 2 days, we charge 995 euros, which in US dollars right now is about 1,050 or something, with the euro being this low right now.
Okay. Okay.
So compared to other similar events, that's, in my opinion, quite affordable. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, the experience of meeting all these Excel MVPs must be priceless, mustn't it?
It is. It definitely is. Having been at the summit and meeting you all and seeing the real people behind the avatars and the blogs and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. And it is a really great community. And yeah, and with the MVP award requiring that you're sharing knowledge, I mean that's a great group to be in and to meet.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, the 13th and 14th of April, the Amsterdam Excel Summit.
Make sure you're there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Make sure you are there. All right, and you wanted to talk about formula auditing.
Oh yeah, let's talk about something completely different now.
Yeah, all right.
Is there some way that I can put my screen up there?
Yeah, there is a over on the left side.
Screen share.
Yeah.
That
And
would
you
be
have to
fine.
share full screen. If you do just if you share just Excel, it'll only show
Okay.
certain things.
Okay. So here's the website of my Amsterdam Excel Summit to
Yes.
finalize that subject right now. So this is the end of that, right? Let's get that out of the way. So can you properly see my screen now?
If you can make the view larger, that would help.
You mean a smaller resolution?
No, no, I meant make in Excel, make the view larger.
Ah, yeah, let's do that. Like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a little bigger.
Bit more?
Yeah.
Sure, let's do that. So here's this workbook that, I'm sorry about the Dutch, but this is just a workbook that I've worked on for a client ages ago. And don't worry, I've removed all the client-specific information, and everything that's in here is nonsense. But the point is, we have this formula up here, right? A VLOOKUP with a max and some crazy worksheet names over here. And so the task at hand is here is we want to know what this formula is using. So what cells sum up to this 44.5% that's in the cell, right? So typically you'd go to the formulas tab over here and you'd click that trace precedence button over here, right?
Right.
Gives you these great arrows that, well, are kind of, well, they're useful. You can double click on an arrow and it takes you to the cell, and you can double click and it'll take you back, right? But if you look at this formula here, it has links to other worksheets. So there's this tiny dotted line here, and it'll show you this go-to screen, right? So what's your first response? Let's drag this corner over here, right? Because I can't see what's here.
Right.
But you can't. Man, you can keep dragging, but it's not going to move an inch. Because, well, it's not a sizable dialog. So you have to click on one of these, and then you still can't see where it points to. You have to, click in there and then hit the end button. And then finally you'll see that actually this is on worksheet that's called cliëntgegevens greater than equals C9. This is just a silly worksheet name. You can see it here at the bottom left here. This is the craziest sheet name I've ever seen, but it works, right? So that's not precisely very useful because, as you can see, there are 6 references here, and to see every one of them you have to do the clicking and the ending and the clicking and the end and the click and the end, and by now I've forgotten what the first one was and have to go back, right?
Right.
So that's a good example of a user interface that's not precisely helping you doing the task that you're trying to perform, and that is figuring out where does this data for this formula come from.
Right.
Right, so let me turn on my add-in because somehow it got turned off. I got this tool, it's called RefTreeAnalyzer. So it analyzes the reference tree. That's hence the name, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can Google for the name and find it on my website. And so what it does is it makes that on, it does the same, but it does it on steroids. So you can click on precedence over here, and let me drag that a bit out of the way. So what it's doing is it's going to split out all the references that it finds in your formula. And you can just use the arrow keys and it will jump to each cell that the formula uses. So as you can see, and it also highlights that part of the formula here in the dialog.
Right.
Let me put this on the right of Excel, so it's kind of next to each other. That's probably easier. So it makes it navigating the elements of your formula extremely easy.
Yes.
Because you immediately see where that cell is.
Right.
So that's the idea. So that's my RefTreeAnalyzer in a nutshell. If you do the if you use the user form that goes with it. What I also added here is a different visualization than the Excel visualization is. So let me bring up those arrows again. Remember these?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so let's get rid of that. And let's make something that's better. And do a visualization that my RefTreeAnalyzer does.
Okay.
So what basically it does, it enhances those arrows quite a bit, because as you can see, I put up a small screenshot of a part of a worksheet that's of the information on another worksheet. So here you can see that part of the formula is using information, and if I click on that, I get taken to the actual position where the formula points to, which is this block over here. So my formula that I'm analyzing uses this range.
Okay.
And I can click here again to get taken back to the formula.
Wow.
You get the idea?
Yes.
So actually, so everything that's blue in here is pointing to a different sheet. So we have this number 65, which is on a different sheet. You can click on that, get taken to the sheet, and inspect it and say, okay, so this is an age of 65. I'm sorry, it's still in Dutch. This 58 here is right under that 65, as you see here, and you can click and go back. So those are some little things you can do. And the other thing is, you see here a block that's entirely green. When it's entirely green, it means that this cell is actually out of the view area of our current screen. So we're looking at column AE here, and this cell is on AK. So if I click here, I get taken to where the cell actually is.
Okay.
So that's the idea. See, so those are some little things that my RefTreeAnalyzer can do, but what I use most personally is just this screen here, because it's really, really very useful to quickly move about and see what elements are in use by this formula.
Yes.
You can easily check, well, this whether or not this is maybe one to the left or one to the right, and see that your formula is actually correct. So there's loads of other stuff in here that probably is a bit too much to present right now.
Well,
but
I do have one question.
Sure.
How does it handle hidden columns or rows?
Oh, it's not going to, well, I think it's going to unhide them. It will unhide worksheets if your workbook is not protected.
Okay.
And it will hide them back if you close the dialog.
Beautiful.
I'm not sure what it does with hidden rows and columns, though. Good question.
Should we try it out?
Well, we can, can't we? Yeah, sure. Let's just hide these, right? And go back to that. Where's that horrible formula over here? It's probably not going to unhide them, I expect. But let's see. Where was it? No, it's not. As you can see, I hid everything between H and L. And it's still not showing them. So, but that's a good suggestion for future enhancements.
Yeah.
I'm at build number, let me see. This is build number 66.
Uh-huh.
And I'm probably refreshing this thing once every 2-3 months or something, adding new stuff and, making small changes and enhancements.
Yeah.
So, and those updates are free. So if you purchase this, it's only $30. You
Okay.
get all sorts of nice stuff.
Great.
Oh, by the way, the download is completely free and 95% of everything works. So you don't have to purchase this thing before trying it out. You can just, and maybe never purchase it. Just keep using the free version.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's okay, because yes, formulas can get complex.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Yeah. And it can be hard to chase down what's tied to what. And this
Exactly.
is really good. I love the diagram. I love the navigation. This
Yep.
is really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
So,
No, so let me mention two more things and then be done with this thing.
mhm.
What this tool does, what not any other tool I think is capable of, is you can also have it check your objects. Like, say you have a worksheet with data validation in it, right? This tool will also check the data validation and tell you that some cells are actually using other cells for things like data validation or conditional formatting. So it will also give you a list of any object that is using cells, such as pivot tables or charts and everything, and tell you where they are.
Okay. So, okay, so just help me understand. So, if I click on a cell, it can tell me that a pivot table is relying on this.
Yeah, let me find my demo for a sec. You can see
Okay.
all the versions I have here, right? So of course this is a demo contraption with all sorts of silliness on top of it, but it's a good thing to test because it's going to show you that on this worksheet data there's a chart object which is using cells like this, and it's using these cells, and it's using these cells. And
Okay.
that's the chart we're talking about. And then there's this worksheet called pivot. And funny enough, the worksheet pivot only has this tiny little pivot table on the top left corner here, and everything else just window dressing. But if you click on, you can actually see that there should be a pivot table in this dialog somewhere. Let me scroll down for a bit. There's so much mumbo jumbo on that sheet that I actually can't find the pivot table. But okay, you get the picture. It will tell you what the source of the pivot table is. Just like it will tell you that there's a picture here, this picture, and that picture actually is pointing to cell G15, which is over there.
Okay. This is great.
Yep. So,
Because
enough about this, unless you have questions.
well, no, it's just interesting because I've had situations where I've been developing something for so long, and then I have, say, 3 pivot table sheets, and I know one of them is no longer tied to anything. And then I've
Right.
got to go digging around to figure out which is the one that I can delete and not have everything implode.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
This might help with that. Yeah, because you can click the object reference button and then go check out what is being used by what.
Yeah.
You could also be in a cell. Let's go here. Let me find a good example. So I'm in this cell, right? And I click on dependence. Now you see nothing's here. But if I click the small objects box here, it should be telling me, but of course demos always fail. You know why that happens, right? Demos always fail. It should have told us that this text box is actually linked to this cell. Let me try the other one. Okay, it's not working for me today. Oh yeah, it is. It is. if you look at this, you see that
Yeah.
cell G15 is actually used by a picture.
Okay.
And it will highlight the cells around the picture so you have it stand out so you can see where it is.
Yeah. Okay.
The same goes for this cell that has a conditional format. And let me do that again. Find the dependence. Oh, something went wrong here. I lost my screen. Okay, well, enough about this.
Okay.
Demos are hard.
Yeah, but this is a great idea. So certainly.
There it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've certainly been, wrapped up in stuff and
Yep.
trying to figure out what's still tied to what's obsolete and can go away. Um, did I
Yeah, that
get
can
rid
be
of all
hard.
did I get rid of all of the conditional formatting, or is this cell white because it didn't get any conditional formatting, or because it just didn't meet the condition to change a color?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I
Those
like
are the
this.
day-to-day headaches of an Excel developer, right?
Yes. Yes.
And like any developer, I use different kinds of tools for different things that I need to look out for, like, my name manager and this RefTreeAnalyzer, and then there's a couple of other small tools I use with my day-to-day development work. But maybe that's something for another conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Could be. Yeah. We want to have you on the full show. All
Why
right.
not? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now can you see my desktop showing the fountains in Vegas?
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. When were you there?
Okay. Oh, that's 5 years ago already.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, so
Did you win some money?
nah, I didn't do any gambling. I know, you know, I'm a data scientist. I work with Excel, so I know who is going to pull the longest string. That's the guy that run the casino.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you want to make money in Vegas, you start a casino, right?
Mm, okay. Right. Well, you got your professional poker players, right?
Yeah, that's true. But they're like Excel MVPs. They're the like top 0.000.1% of people.
Right. Yeah. You don't get laid off from a job and then go start professional poker playing.
Some people might.
What? Yeah. 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 They might. Yeah. And then they'll find out it wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks a
Cool.
lot. This has been great. It's been great getting to know you. It's been great finding out about the summit and about the formula analyzer. That is some really good stuff, and I like seeing all the details in there. So tell us about the summit again, and then we'll jump out.
Yeah. So we'll have the Amsterdam Excel Summit, April 13 and 14, in Amsterdam, of course. You'll see people from all over the world, all Excel MVPs, presenting great stuff about Power Query, Power Pivot, and formulas, and how to build your Excel models. So get over here, book your flights, and register at our website, which is topexcelclass.com,
Yep, that's right.
and
Okay,
hopefully we'll meet.
that's
It would be
right.
great seeing you there.
Yep, it would be. All right. Thanks a lot. And that's it for Excel TV's Juice Function episode.
Thanks, Oz, for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.